Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cameras and Coffee. And today we're going to talk about the way that life is about to get RF for all of the third-party lens makers. Get it? RF? That's like a play on rough. You know what? I'm never doing comedy on this channel ever again, I promise. All right, so today I am enjoying a wonderful Kenya roast from 4 Barrel Coffee. I think they're in California. At least I bought this in San Francisco. Just a very nice, very good blend with a good deep flavor. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So, terrible joke from the intro. You've probably by now heard that Canon sent a letter to Viltrox saying, stop making all lenses in the RF mount. You're infringing on our patents. And I'm looking for the exact quote. I can't. So there's articles in the description for D-Preview and Petapixel links if you want to read more. Here it is. At the Petapixel, in the first paragraph of the Petapixel article, it says in late August, a Viltrox rep told a prospective customer, Canon told it to stop producing all RF mount products. So stop producing there is the key word. So basically the crux of what it sounds like from piecing the little bit of information that's publicly available together is that, as we know, Viltrox and many other third-party lens makers make their lenses in a variety of mounts. So Viltrox was making one or more in Canon RF mount, as many of the other lens makers are doing right now as well, or coming up to speed on it. Canon said, don't do it. Stop producing. Stop producing are the key words for what we're going to talk about here. So what that patent infringement is, if it's been made publicly available, I haven't found it. There are a bunch of different things it could be. It could be with the geometry of the mount, seems unlikely. More likely to do with the software that's used to communicate between the lens and the camera, or some sort of autofocus technology that's built into the way that the lens operates, or something to do with the way that the aperture stops down, something like that. Maybe it could be with the manual focus system. Modern lenses have so many different things at work in them that any one of those things could be something that would infringe upon a maker's patents. Now that's especially true if we're talking about things that are electronic. If the camera maker, Canon, Sony, Nikon, whomever, puts together a camera that needs a specific type of data communication going from the lens to the camera, and if they are clever enough, as I would imagine they are, to write the software so that only things under which they have patent protection can allow a lens to communicate back and forth to the camera. So what I'm saying is basically if I were at Canon and I was in charge of product development, I would say, find us some software things, very clever software team, that are under patent protection. Make sure that no lens without those can communicate to the camera. That would mean dumb lenses without contacts, for instance, would just mount and the camera would work, but anything that communicates EXIF data, distance, aperture, focus, things like any of those things that are communicated electronically, I would go out of my way to make sure that the only way that a lens that does that could work would be if it had something that my company had developed under patent protection. That way, if a third-party maker released something and didn't have our previous permission to do so, they could communicate with the camera. Bingo, we know they have somehow violated our patent, and now it's just a matter of figuring out how. So apparently in August, Viltrox received a letter from Canon saying stop producing lenses because of something here. So there are many other ways you can identify whether or not something infringes on a patent. By the way, that one idea was just the way I would do it. So the key words in that are stop producing. If that's exactly what it said, now there are two sides now to this situation. There's Canon, and then there's all of the third-party lens makers. So if I were Canon, I would be buying up at least a few of every single third-party lens maker's lenses, every one of them that's on the market, and I would have my engineers analyzing the reverse engineering the software in them, taking them apart physically to look at the mechanics, and finding anything in any of those that violates any of my company's patents. On the other side, we have the third-party lens makers. If I worked for one of them, I would look at the wording in that of stop producing, and I would look at my production team and say, we're not making any lens mounts except RF for a certain amount of time, whether it be some number of weeks or months or until we get a similar letter, and produce every single RF mount third-party lens I could possibly muster. And I do that so that if I received one of those letters that says stop producing, cool, we'll flip the switch, but we got 30,000 of these things sitting in the warehouse. We're still just going to sell them for the next year and a half while this situation resolves itself. I would also very strongly consider taking all of my currently on the market RF mount lenses and just fire sailing them. Get them out of inventory, loss or not, just to get them off the market and keep a lower profile until this thing with Viltrox blows over. So that's sort of what I would be doing there. Canon has confirmed that they did send that letter to Viltrox, and trying to find the spot. Trying not to find, can't find exactly where in the article, or if I don't have the right article open. Anyway, I did read something that said Canon had confirmed that they sent that letter. An interesting update from, also in that Petapixel article, Tamron, the third-party lens maker, has confirmed that they are going to be releasing lenses in Nikon Z. It sounds like they're mute or confirming that they are not releasing them in Canon RF. So what it really sounds like is happening is that Canon has said the RF mount is our gold mine, and we don't want anyone making an RF mount lens except us. If someone buys a Canon lens, or a Canon camera, I'm sorry, it sounds like what Canon wants is them being required to buy Canon lenses. Some of those Canon lenses are pretty spendy, so that is a really good way for Canon to lock in profits for their RF ecosystem, and for those of you who are budget conscious, also a really good reason to look at non-RF cameras. So there's that. Anyway, this is something interesting I'll be watching very soon, as I have an R7, which is going to arrive, what's today? In less than a week, 4 or 5 days from now, I have an R7 arriving, and I'm looking forward to using that, and we'll see how much trouble I get in when I make a video manual and a book about it. So at any rate, so very interesting from Canon, how protective they are now of the RF mount. They have kind of always been like this at any rate. So for those of you who are in the RF system looking for third-party lenses, might not dilly-dally on those. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.